Well, go on. You know my style. You know my style. You know my style. Dog, you know my style. One act like you don't know my style when everybody round it, they know my style.
What up? What up? What's going on? Welcome to another edition of the Exit Interview Podcast. It feels good to be back. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Everybody's doing good. The most important question though is, where is Emicas? Emicas, are you okay out there? Emicas, I know a lot of people have questions for you about your numbers are looking off. What's going on, Emicas? By the way, my name is Andre C. Griffiths, professionally, creatively known as the Mind of Dre. But I want to start off this episode. Should I even? You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. We're going to start off this episode with a little bit of a eulogy for Emicas' bullshit. We called it out. It seems she's in permanent hiding. Emicas is so down bad right now that she's resorted to working with people who've done a terrible job with her before, because all the good ones won't work with her anymore. You know, I hear the music's not hitting the same. I'm hearing all types of things. So I say, Emicas, please, we're gonna put in a moment of silence for your bullshit. Actually, no, I'm just gonna laugh. Anyway, if anybody knows Emicas, just give her a shout out. Make sure she's doing all right. And that her bullshit ways haven't gotten to her too much yet. So anyway, it's been a couple of weeks. It was right before Memorial Day weekend last time that I recorded, and I took some time off because that's a bad thing about having a podcast, and it's a bad thing with me because I'm one of those people that likes to do, if we're dealing with each other and whatnot, I'm not like a big game player like that. I'm very like, I show my cards, well, not anymore. But if we're like both dealing with each other legitimately, I'm just very, what you see is what you get. Right. And so, I want to be like that with this podcast, but I can't always do it. So let's just say these last couple of weeks, I was making sure that a project that I've been working on doesn't collapse, so to speak, and there are some people on the project, and I felt like I should have heard something back from them this week, and I still haven't heard back from them. And while I do find that to be a little bit of an issue, I've been trying to learn, scale it back a little bit, Dre. Not everything has to be, pedal to the metal. But whatever. I'm trying to keep that vague. So take that for what it is. Let's move on with the podcast because I have a bad habit of maybe poking the bear a little too much. But that bear been poking me back. So I guess I'll say all of that to just say hopefully we are finally all on the same page now and we can get this project done, because I want to move on to other things. But with all that being said, I actually have another, maybe project wasn't the best word to use, because I have an actual project that I'm going to be working on for the next maybe like, I want to say like 90 days or something like that. And because of that, I think I might put this podcast on hold for a little bit. I don't know yet. It depends. It really all depends on whether or not I can record this while on the road. And, I'm a big stickler for like audio quality and whatnot as much as possible. I'm still learning, but I don't want to like record on the road and it sounds like shit. If I'm being honest, I already have a window here open, so you might hear all types of sounds in the background. But hey, it's better than a fan. Anyway, so what is this episode about? I'm a big fan of like legitimately good content creators, not just people who are just like, there are a million podcasts out there and there are a bunch of people who are just recording just for the sake of it because they think like the sounds of their own voice is that interesting, I want to be on the side of what kind of like, let me actually make good, engaging content. And I'm going to try as much as possible. And so I figured, because of where this podcast lives, like, why not tackle something that I've been thinking about for a while now? And I'm like, let's have a real honest conversation about LinkedIn. Cause like, I don't know. If I were to give my early assessment, there's very little real going on with LinkedIn. And I'm not even talking about the people who use it. I'm talking about LinkedIn as an actual platform. But before I even dive into that, I remember a while ago I was on LinkedIn. It was a time when I was I think I was already working at a freelance gig, and I was looking at LinkedIn because I wanted to update it and whatnot. And as I was looking at LinkedIn, I was going through what is it that you see first on LinkedIn? You go and see your feed and whatnot. And as I'm scrolling through the feed, I'm just like, what is the bullshit that people are posting? It's just a bunch of them were people that I knew, some people better than others. And I was just like, oh God, what is this? It made me kind of turned off to LinkedIn because I felt like, when I first got LinkedIn, I felt like it was all about just, you put your profile up. This way you can network with people and connect to people and yada, yada, yada. They can find your resume quickly. But somehow along the way, like LinkedIn turned into professional Facebook, which kind of sucks. But still, that's still talking too much about the community. But what's up with LinkedIn itself? Is it really serving its purpose all that well? And so randomly one night, because I love little like rabbit holes and kind of just like poking at things and looking at things, I decided, let me look at LinkedIn a little bit. Like, what's up with LinkedIn? And my first idea was actually to be nosy and see, okay, who are like the top level people at LinkedIn? Like, who can I connect with that's like at the closest to the tippity top of LinkedIn? And, I did some poking around and whatnot. And, I found some interesting people. I'm going to talk about them another day, not for today, but I found some interesting things. But as I was doing searches for LinkedIn on LinkedIn, I realized like, holy shit, there are like a billion, not literally a billion, but there are like a billion random LinkedIn pages and websites. And there's a LinkedIn France. There's a LinkedIn for like so many different countries and languages, but then on top of that, there are these weird, I don't know, like LinkedIn is dumping out like trash articles and just things that with no meaning. Like I saw articles about like, oh, how to get your resume looked at in 2021. And it's like, I don't know, just very generic bullshit advice that like a handful of people read, but you could tell just like people who are very desperate for jobs are the ones who are interacting with this content the most. It's trash content. Like, oh man, I should have brought a list with me. I think there was like LinkedIn, like there's like a LinkedIn environmental thing. There's LinkedIn business. There's LinkedIn, like, they project, some type like data analysis. There's all these types of LinkedIn pages, and I should have came more prepared on this part, but trust me, I have a whole thing that I'm putting together regarding this, because I found some really interesting things about LinkedIn, that I just kind of like, nobody's talking about this. But we'll get to that another time. This is just going to be a general kind of like overview, and like, let's really talk about this platform. Right. And so I see all of this stuff and I'm like, what good is LinkedIn actually providing? Like, LinkedIn feels like it's a website that started with an idea, and they just kept throwing all this bullshit on top of it until the time when like this website just became super superficial, you know, and now it's Facebook. It's professional Facebook, you know? So like, all those garbage articles aside, I also noticed they do like these LinkedIn, I don't know, maybe it's like a holdover from the pandemic, but it's like these LinkedIn, you know, live chats or live discussions and whatnot. And like, my God, it's nothing helpful. It is like content for the sake of content, like just take up space so it looks like you're a legitimate thing, which I guess is like the reason why LinkedIn is so business forward, right? Is like they treat it like that. Like, if you just have a lot of bullshit that looks official, then you're a real business. You know, I encountered this with companies that I worked with before, where it's just like, hey, let's create this whole knowledge base, but the knowledge base is super like half-assed and not kept up, but it looks really good on the outside. Or like, you know, let's create this certification program where it's like, it literally doesn't mean anything, but like it looks good. Or like, you know, the fact that, the fact that in most, especially corporate environments, like, for the amount of hours that people are actually working, they're not working that much. There's no need to have work days as long as we do, but we feel like we need to justify this holdover from like way back in the day when people weren't getting like paid fairly in their wages and compensation. But whatever, you know, like I said, LinkedIn is just some surface level bullshit, which is the same for a lot of, the corporate world, at least in my eyes, you know. Sorry to shit on, you know, sometimes I think like I might be coming across like I'm shitting on a lot of things, which I kind of am. But just let it be known that I think there are good people out there that are just trying to do their jobs, trying to do their thing, think that like this very superficial shit is part of the networking game, which it is now, but it's kind of a shame, right? Because when I was coming up, I always thought of networking in terms of, okay, let me try and meet some people so I can show them what I'm about and they'll see I'm good. Or like, let me meet this other person who, oh, I really rock with this person. Not in a way where it's like, ooh, you're cool, I'm cool, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Not that type of thing, but it's just like, oh, okay, I see you. Where are our opportunities to build and connect and this, that, and the other, and yada, yada, yada. But now it's like, I feel like because of social media, maybe this was always an aspect of the corporate world, and I'm, you know, whatever the case may be, but I feel like back in the day there wasn't as much of this, but with social media it's like gotten crazy. It's this feeling of it's bullshit connections, like very, very bullshit connections. People are doing shit on the surface just so they make sure they have someone cool in a place who can maybe get them in somewhere, you know, so you can lean on that rather than having some actual skill or being good at your job. Because real competition, I don't even like it always being competition, right? But being truly trying to like level yourself up is a more difficult task than this Game of Thrones bullshit where it's like, hey, let's be cool with each other and whatnot. And the reason why I even say all of that is because, like, another thing that I just see on LinkedIn that is just disgusting is just like the amount of kiss-assery and like congratulations on things that I know these people don't care about. Some of these people, I went to college with them. I've partied with them. I drank with them. I know what you're like. What are you doing? And I'm not shitting on anyone in particular. It's just, it's being a product of the environment, right? Like, what is this bullshit social network doing to actual networking and relationships and engaging with people? All it's doing is making it more fake, less authentic. For example, like, man, oh man, I must contradict all types of figures and whatnot. Because, like, if you were to look at my posts from the outside, I get no engagement, like zero engagement. Nobody's telling me congrats. And quite frankly, by the way, I don't care. Like I said, this is all kind of a bit of well, actually, let me not even say that. I have like multiple reasons why I'm doing this, so this whole thing is interesting. I wonder if I should even talk about that. Oh, fuck it, I'll talk about it. Eventually I want to get more into why I branded myself as a creative strategist. I feel like it's kind of a buzzword. Maybe it's because I changed my actually, I know it's because I changed my title. And that's the reason why all of a sudden LinkedIn is bombarding me with, ooh, this place is hiring for a creative strategist. Even though I marked off the option like I'm not open to work. I keep getting flooded with this stuff, right? But the reason why I changed my title or have branded myself as a creative strategist is it's not a buzzword for me. Like, I take this thing very literally. I'm the type of person where I look at everything, it's coming from that background in support, where troubleshooting and identifying problems. And, I look at everything like that, and on top of that, for a long time now, I've been one of those types of people where I'm a minimalist. I don't actually love owning a ton of stuff. I like keeping things minimal. And in being a person like that, I'm also a big believer in using all parts of what you have. So if I'm doing something, or like, okay, a better example would be like, if you were to hunt, I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat meat. But if I were to eat meat, I would hunt, right? And not just buy some shit from a supermarket, because it's like, I don't know, factory farming and all that good stuff, or bad stuff, really. But if I were to eat meat, I would hunt. And if I were to hunt, I would use every part of the animal that I could, because otherwise you're being disrespectful to the animal. You're doing a disservice to that animal who you're the one who decided to end its life. Even though you could have eaten something else. So I think of basically everything like that. I try to pull myself away from specifics and try to think in a more abstract way, and I apply that type of thinking to everything. And so you might say, well, Dre, what the hell are you doing starting this podcast on LinkedIn? Are you trying to be like a big new podcast person, yada, yada, yada? And I'd say no. I actually have I have a totally different goal that has nothing to do with podcasting, I have a totally different goal that I'm working toward. This is just the thing that I'm using. I don't know. I don't know. I find it really interesting, actually. It's part experiment and part rethinking what networking is, right? Because this is 2022. I don't know why we're trying to retrofit old ways of thinking into this new world that's emerging. I don't understand why we're following the old bullshit of just because this asshole is up running things in power that we gotta like acquiesce to the way they're doing things rather than taking a step back and seeing the playing field and realizing like, oh, there are so many tools out there and so many options out there that all you have to do is get a little bit creative. And if you get a little bit creative, you'll get results that other people weren't even expecting, you know? So that's why analytics are also an interesting thing because, and I would love to see LinkedIn's analytics. But analytics are a real interesting thing because if you were to look at my public facing ones, you would think like, Dre, what is the point of all this? This podcast is doing shit. And I'm like, well, that's great because because there are other numbers that aren't public facing that I can see. Just based on the way that I've set up in this, I don't know. It's really, really, really interesting. And it makes me realize a few things is there is a world of difference between what people are doing on the surface in LinkedIn versus how people actually are. Because on the surface in LinkedIn, you would think like nobody's really rocking with me. Nobody, you know, and also on the surface, you would think nobody hates me, which, ooh, yikes. I've, oh man. Watch me actually be a dick about this and make I don't know how any way to refer to him other than that lanky walking talking piece of shit. I don't want to, but I was like low key thinking in my mind like, ooh, I know I could easily make that a running theme. But anyway, I know that there are some people, not just him, but people who are cool with him, people where I've criticized them. I know there are people who feel all types of ways about me right now. But it's cool. It's cool. It's fine. Because once again, I'm one of those types of people where I would rather be, you know, you'll know where I stand. Everybody will know where I stand. If somebody says they're confused about where I stand, they are lying. Everyone will know where I stand because yeah, I sort of feel like there's a different way that we can be going about this rather than just pretending and doing the song and dance and yada, yada, yada. Right. Because, and once again, this is another thing. I also understand the idea of security and wanting to make sure that, you always have something coming in. So why burn bridges and this, that? I'm not talking to those type of people. I'm talking to the people who, this thing is probably going to go off again. So let me just mute it right quick. Unprofessional, Dre. I'm talking more to, I wish I could just name straight up names of the people who I'm talking to, but like, man, relax, like treat, like, I don't know how quite to put it. I guess at the end of the day, you know, people can say what they want about things like the toxicity of Twitter or like the vapidness of Instagram or like the total idiocy of TikTok. But I don't know if there's anywhere on social media that is quite as fake as LinkedIn. And I personally think there needs to be an alternative to networking. And when I say networking, I don't mean just networking with people, based on kissassery. You know, and like, congrats for being a CPA and blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, relax. I get it. Or are you really super excited about this new piece of software that's being released that only you know about and maybe like 3 other people in your field? Like, relax, everybody. Relax. Let's be real with each other. LinkedIn is its own version of toxic, right? Most of you don't really like you're not really like super cool with like your super upper management corporate level executives, Let's be real. That software that's coming out, you might be marginally excited, but let's be real. It's another new thing you got to learn. That event that you went to where everybody meets up, that's LinkedIn in real life. Let's be real. I don't know, man. It's all like super interesting to me, and so I'm just gonna study LinkedIn for a little bit. Oh man, there's some interesting things about LinkedIn. Wait till I get into headhunters and recruiters on LinkedIn. There are so many interesting things that I found out about legitimate ones and ones that are full of shit. And be careful which ones you connect with, because they're definitely selling your information. Yeah, I don't know. LinkedIn, what do we do? What do we do with this thing? I don't know. I'm going to close this podcast out. Not a super long one, not a super short one, but I'm going to close it out. And I'm going to close it out by talking about this. I think LinkedIn is just, we're in one of those chicken and the egg type of situations, because it's like, is LinkedIn just a reflection of where we are in society today, or corporate culture today, or whatever you want to call it? Or did we just build the reflection? Did we is it? Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those situations, or maybe it's one hand washes the other, where like LinkedIn came during a time and corporate culture and how we treat networking kind of evolved around it. Whatever the case may be, I think at a certain point, it's like one of those things, obviously 2 totally separate things, but it's like climate change, right? Like if you're just looking at it day to day, you might just be like, oh, weather's kind of crazy for a little bit, blah, blah, blah. But if you're not looking at the bigger picture and seeing like, oh, we're doing, there's a whole lot of factors, whether man-made or not, that are causing climate change, and maybe we need to address this. It could be one of those things. It's the, that whole saying about seeing the forest for the trees, or something like that. Whatever the case may be, you know what I'm talking about. I'm looking at LinkedIn, and I'm looking at how we treat each other in the corporate space, or like just in jobs in general, and it really makes me wonder, what are we building? What are we working toward? Well, not me, because I've taken myself out of that, because it's filled with a bunch of cutthroat, crazy people. But it really makes me wonder, like, what are we doing? Like, what are we building allegiances on? Because, when you start getting into that game of, networking based on like very surface level things, and making sure that like, oh, I just got your back, you got mine, versus, networking in a way where we have a common goal and we want to see the improvement and betterment of whatever entity we're under, you're going to see the eventual collapse of businesses. Like some of these older businesses where they got a lot of years behind them, they might be a bit safer especially a lot of these younger companies, I've seen it with older companies too, but it's a thing that I consistently see where the interests of a few end up fucking up the business, and it manifests itself in a bunch of ways, and people will want to network in a way where they get cool with the few, whether it's like, it could be in a certain department, it could be on an executive level, it could be wherever, but this fakeness and this kiss-assery, especially to people who are quite frankly terrible at their jobs, liabilities in your companies, all they are schmoozers, maybe with a nice smile, a nice symmetrical face, so on paper it's like, ooh, but outside of that, what are you really doing to build? What are you really doing to grow, beyond, okay, these quarterly numbers look right, because on paper, that's the way you're supposed to grow a business. But in reality, a lot of that shit is hindsight, because you're not taking care of the foundation, like the actual business itself. It's so pure numbers driven that, yeah, and it can't be that way, because numbers can be fake too. And I know all about companies who fake their numbers, but we will definitely not talk about that, because I will definitely get sued if that's the case. But anyway, people, it's been an interesting journey. It might be a little bit before you hear this podcast again. I don't know, maybe like a month and change, but I guess, given the way I've decided to release this podcast, I can actually like, it's fine if I do that. I can actually take some time off and it'll be okay. It'll be cool. Who knows? I might do something else in the meantime to spice things up, just because, I think it's cool to spice up LinkedIn a little bit. I know there are going to be a bunch of people who don't like it. But why not make life a little bit interesting? Let's shake things up. In the meantime, treat the people around you good, or well, I should say. Take a little time to treat yourself. We're going through some crazy things in the world. I don't even want to go down that road of talking about that stuff. But I don't know. I'm a big believer in, if you stick with it and don't believe the hype and the bullshit and the surface moves that get thrown in your face, you can get to some good places, and that's where my mind is right now. It's just getting to some good places, closing some doors, opening some new ones, hopefully meeting some good people along the way, and leveling up. Let's keep leveling up out here, people. I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna keep poking the bear that pokes me back. And please, anybody, please, if you see Emicas, tell her I wish her all the luck in her new endeavors. And I hope she can answer those questions that people are waiting to hear the answers to. Hope you're doing well out there, Emicas. And to anybody else, the people on that project, I hope I hear from you too soon. It's been a while. So peace out, everybody. Until the next one.